this one time in Kankakee, it was run over with a tractor.
Every family has a story. The one that gets told every few years at holidays or whenever the grandkids ask about the old days. And this story, it's been told in my family for nearly 90 years. Welcome to this One Time in Kankakee from the WVLI Podcast Network. I'm Jake LaMore. And today I sit down with my grandfather to tell the story of how when he was just 3 years old, his father accidentally ran over his leg with a tractor. My grandfather was born in the small village of Manteno, Illinois in 1933. Life back then was simple, but tough.
I grew up in Manteno. I was born in Manteno in 1933 and lived there all my life up and still live there. So I was in the Army 2 years and I was away from home, but otherwise I still had a residence there. So I figured I've lived here all my life.
The family had a small property, about 10 acres, enough for a few crops. But even small farms had tractors, and even small boys were curious.
We lived in town. It was kind of a small thing. It was 10 acres, but we had a little field out there, and my father, I think, maybe put some field corn in that, and I harvested that, and that was the extent of it. This is back in the 30s, and things were really tough, and not much was going on. And we all had a tough time, but we all lived through it.
It was July, a hot summer morning in the 1930s, 1936 to be exact. Franklin Weber, just 3 years old, was, as usual, right beside his dad.
This one day, and I was always around my dad. I liked to be around him, watching what he did, because he did a lot of different things, and it was always interesting. So this one morning, and it was late in the morning, and he had some plowing he wanted to do, and he was going to hook up to this plow and get ready to plow after lunch. And so I was standing there watching him. I was on his right side of the tractor, and about that time my mother called out that lunch was ready, and so he saw me kind of run around the front of the tractor, and he thought I went to the house. So he looked back and over his right shoulder to back up to hook up to that plow, and what I did, I went around and got on the left side of his tractor and stood there to watch him back up. And what I did, I got too close to that rear wheel, and he started to back up, and it knocked me down, and the rear wheel went over my leg up between the knee and the hip, and it broke that big bone up there. And he heard me holler.
His father leapt off the tractor and saw what had happened. What he did next is something the whole town would talk about.
Somehow he put his shoulders up against those wheels, spokes of those wheels, or that wheel, and he pushed up like that. He managed somehow to raise that tractor and pull me off.
With his leg badly broken, Franklin was rushed to the hospital, thanks to a friend from town.
They called up a friend of ours in town, Mr. Kiley, the druggist, and he came down with his car and picked us up. And I remember him putting me in the back seat of the car and with a board under my leg, and off we went to St. Mary's Hospital. And we got up there, and they did the necessary things to fix my leg up. They took x-rays of it and saw how everything was. And they put me in bed, and they put me in traction.
But in the 1930s, traction meant taping around a child's foot with weights hanging off the end of the bed. It didn't work.
After a day or so of that, Dr. Hamilton had the nurse tell Mother to go see him when she came in, and she did, she and Dad. And he told them that we had to do something different, that the procedure they were using wasn't working, and if we didn't fix that, he was going to have a short leg, and we don't want that to happen. So he says they're going to take and drill a hole through the thick part of the bone of the heel and put a pin in there and let that pin set on this apparatus that held a rope to make it pull, and then there'll be a constant pull and it'll work. And that's just what they did, and it did well. And in a week or two, my bones come together, and he put me a cast and sent me home. And after that, I got over that, and my leg was been perfect all of my life.
The story of the tractor lift spread fast, and no one could quite believe it.
Some of his farmer friends and different ones come over that day, and they all tried to raise that tractor, and nobody could raise it at all. So the theory was that the good Lord was standing right by him, and he was the one that raised that tractor, and Dad pulled me out.
The story stayed with his parents for the rest of their lives. It stayed with Franklin, too, and with my family.
Well, it was kind of a harrowing thing for my parents to have to go through. But they got over it, but nobody ever forgot about it, because it was talk for a long, long time after that about my getting run over by a tractor.
Do you ever think about how things could have gone differently?
Oh yeah, I could have died, and I could have been a cripple if it would have crushed my hip or my knee. So I was lucky the way it turned out.
And here's the best part.
Oh, then while I was up in the hospital getting over that broken leg, a number of years later, I found out that the lady that I married, she was born up there while I was in the hospital. So we thought that was quite interesting to go along with the rest of the story. We've been married now 69 years and still at it.
That was my grandfather, Franklin Weber, sharing a story from his earliest years in Manteno, Illinois. Got a story like that of your own? A moment you'll never forget that happened right here in Kankakee County? Email me at jake@milnermediapartners.com or send a message to me on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn and finish this sentence. This one time in Kankakee. This One Time in Kankakee is a production of the WVLI Podcast Network. The voices you trust beyond the dial.